Welcome back to Serious About Rugby League. Okay, so right now what we're going to talk about is players away on holidays and their behaviour, and are the players actually protected when they do go away? For example, just recently Melbourne Storm, Nelson Asofa-Solomona and a few of his teammates went to Bali on a holiday, and while they were out, one of his teammates were attacked by just normal holiday people, and Big Nelson actually defended his teammate, but when he got back home to Australia, had to face the NRL. The NRL gave him a 3-match ban, which basically rules him out of the 3 tests that he could be playing for New Zealand, so he misses the Great Britain game and the Australian game. But at the same time, he had to pay a $15,000 fine. So, where do you guys stand on it? Do you think it was fair that he defended his teammate away on holiday?
I think the punishment altogether is harsh. I think I'm going to draw on something Braith Anasta actually said, the former Sydney Roosters standoff. He was talking about it last week, I think, and his point basically was that we're starting to sort of dehumanise players and look at them as you know, sort of in a different way that you would a normal person. So, you know, say the same incident happened and it was just your average Joe, it wouldn't get as much media speculation as it is, which is obvious, but at the same time it wouldn't have the same sort of implications. And given the circumstances that he was defending his teammate, I mean, Vunivalu, the winger, is the one we're talking about. He was punched in a nightclub, and then was also threatened with a bottle outside, and that's what prompted Asofa-Solomona to then defend him. Given that it was self-defence, and that in that sort of situation, you've got to sort of ask yourself, what would you do? You know, would you just lie back and take it? And I think again, Anasta said that had he not done what he'd done, Asofa-Solomona, we could be hearing a completely different story. We could be hearing that Vunivalu is in hospital with life-threatening injuries as a result of what happened, but instead his teammate has been punished for defending him, and for me that's not right.
Yep, and Ethan, what are your thoughts about that?
I agree with Jack completely. It could have been a totally different situation, as he says. Anything could have happened, but obviously if he steps in, then obviously that changes things. I see where the NRL are coming from a certain point, saying, look, he's done something that's in their eyes wrong and he should be punished, but in my eyes he shouldn't be punished for it because it's just self-defence.
I think the way that you've got to see it is that I think the NRL have looked at it and seen that, you know, at the end of the day, if you take all the context out of it, we've got a player who is registered to an NRL club that has been videoed, and I think that's the key bit, is it's been videoed,
yes.
And there's evidence that it happened, been fighting in Bali, and that's what they've sort of had to crack down on. They can't be seen to let that happen and it go unpunished.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Nothing happened. They've got to give him some sort of punishment, as much as the circumstances may be, I say not acceptable, but you know, it's understandable in a way, I guess.
Yes.
They can't be seen to just let it sit, and that's why I believe they have cracked down on him. They've given him a ban and a fine, and as unjust as it probably is for him to now miss the international calendar, you can see why they've done it at the same time. I think a fine would have been sufficient.
Yeah, that's right. I think a fine probably would have been sufficient, but at the same time, it was a $15,000 fine. So for our viewers out there, because it's in England, that's like £7,500 fine, and that on the exchange rate. Just sorry about the maths. But yeah, but at the same time though, like as you mentioned, Vunivalu was the teammate. If you got bottled, what normally happens when you get bottled, glass breaks. What if the person's still got a good hold of that bottle?
Exactly.
Anything could have happened, and instead of hearing that Big Nelson jumped in to save his mate, we could be hearing about Vunivalu may not even be here anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And that fine, he's basically saying, well, I might as well have paid for my mate's funeral.
It's an awful thing to be thinking about, is what could have happened had he not stepped in, but it is a difficult. I can see where the NRL had they probably had a bit of dialogue with themselves, knowing what to do, because at the end of the day, they are in charge of both defending and punishing players. And while he should probably be praised for looking after his mate, he shouldn't be praised for the way he did it. I think that sort of stance seems like their take.
And that's right. Obviously, when I first saw the footage, we just saw Big Nelson just unwatching. And mind you, for the people, Nelson Asofa-Solomona stands at 2 metres tall, 120 kilo, and he's only 23 years old. And the way he was launching him, like, he was a machine. Like, but it wasn't until after the fact we found out what actually had happened. But at the same time, because obviously I was talking to one of my friends about this, and his exact words were, "What if Nelson was defending a woman? What would the punishment be?" So anyway, we're going to leave it to you viewers. Subscribe to the video, leave your comments, and what do you think of the situation?